first started when Walter Rennick, or Watty Rennick as we called him, from Clover Hill at Hultonley Gate, he came to pick some horns up from me dad just when I was 16, 17, and he said to us, he says, why don't you come down to the evening class with us and make your own sticks? So I've been going making sticks ever since then, but I haven't made a lot of sticks until this latter years. And that's where I first learned, but the way to make them have changed totally from the way we used to make them then. They were all boiled and straightened then, but there was no nipping up like what we do now for where the shank goes. It was just to cut the straight to get the bit for the shank, and then you had to file off after that, whereas now it's nipped up into a good round solid bit for to start with. When you think that was nipped up from that, so you've got it solid, whereas before you used to cut the back off and a bit at the front, and you used to use that bit. Well, you couldn't drill that bit, so that horn would have been no good to us then. Whereas now we can nip that up, and if you can do it without the folding into the inside, you can make a good stick. But as I say, then it was totally different. Everything was done with the boiler, and you had to wait on them cooling a long time, where I can work away with that heat and nipping them up, and when they're still warm, take them out, nip them up a bit further, and then when you've nipped them up, you nip them up that last time and let it cool where you want it, and then you can start nipping round for the handle. But as I say, it'll be could be hollow a fair bit in that, like. The saw sometimes nips, but if you put a little bit DW40 on it, slides and smooths out. And DW40 is tremendous stuff. There's still a little bit of wick left in here. You can feel the change of the sound of the saw. I'm still in the wick, but you see the solid horn here. I have a neighbour across the road. I cut the solid off from around there, and we're flattening straight, and he makes pens out of the horn. Aye, makes some nice pens. When you get under there, if it's, you give you the tap, but it's not. Some of them is really, they just drop out there, but it's maybe a little. There he goes. He's a little bit fresh. See, that's come out of there. So you want your horns as solid as you can, as far back as you can. But it'll be all right, this one, because it's got some good thick walls on it, and you'll be able to nip that up when you put the punch in and nip it up there. I clean before, because that's got to go on there, and that's got to go in there. So I take a bit of the rough off with these. You can get it to fit into there. And I put that on there, and then it goes in the vise when it's warm, and away it goes. Put that thing in the end when I start to nip it up. It's maybe just fresh enough, that horn, If they haven't been kept long enough, and you warm them and you get them into shape and everything, and you maybe go back to them and they'll slightly go back to where they were a little bit, because they're too fresh. But if they're older, the older they are, the better they are at stopping in position, I think. Maybe. I hope. I can't tell you much more, really. There's a lot more to it, but it's hard to explain, for me anyway, because I'm not that way given, maybe. I know what I'm doing. I've learned a bit myself, I've learned of other folk. I went to a class at Newcastle for a little bit, and there was a man called Drew Oliver took the class, and I learned a bit of him the time I was there. I wasn't there a big lot, but I learned a bit of him. And there's another stick maker in Carlisle, and I think it's Andrew Warwick. I think he's a tremendous good stick maker.
If you made a stick from start to finish,
yeah,
and didn't stop, how long would it take you?
Oh, hey. Well, you've got, when you make them, you've got, you're heating them, some of them, and you've got to let them cool. So you waste a lot of time waiting on them cooling and this, that and the other. And then when you glue them on, you've got to wait till the glue dries. And then eventually when you get round to finishing the varnish, of course they get maybe 3-4 coats of varnish, so you're waiting in between for the varnish to dry. I don't know, I never really know. Folk keeps asking you, but if you were, I'd put your hours on, you charge whatever an hour, you never get your money. Like, you never get your money back. You know, if you were doing it per hour, you're doing more than 10 hours in a stick, really. Like, I can come in here, and I was on the other day with 2 horns. I heated them and I got them nipped up kind of to where I wanted them, and I got them shaped into the shape I wanted and kept working with them. It was an afternoon's job, just gone like, and you know, you couldn't see a lot that I'd done. Some days like that you can get like that, and I'll come in here and you think things, that's not right, and if you go away, have your dinner, come back and things seems to go a lot better. Maybe it's a bit like stone wall, and you go on, the stones is not fitting. If you can have your bait, then you go back to it and they start to fit. It's just, I don't know. You sometimes get them filed down, and there's a bit there. It's gonna be, it's gonna a little bit filling to put in. It's just, unless there's a possibility it might file out here. It might not and all. It just might file out there. You find all kinds of flaws when you start to file them down, So.
You said one of the highlights of your career with mules was judging at the Great Yorkshire Show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Maybe some of them that was shown won't agree with us, but that's the way it goes when you're shown. And if you're showing sheep, well, you've got to be prepared to lose as well as win. Unless you don't want to be shown, I don't think. If you can't go away happy even with a second or third prize rather than championship or something like that, I think you've got to be quite happy with what you get. Some days you'll get a first prize when you didn't expect it, and some days when you expect it you won't get one. So,
can you remember what prizes you awarded that day?
The first prize for the pair of Mule Lambs went to David Brown of Anglethorpe. I can't remember whether I gave the Mule Shielding Championship the first prize to Ron or not, because they're shown in pairs at the Yorkshire. It's difficult just to get a matching pair sometimes, but even the mule two, I think she was a 2-shear that Ron had. They asked us, they said that I had to pick one out of the mules that had to go forward to the, I don't know, multi-breed thing or something, and I picked this 2-shear of Ron's because I thought she was a good sheep, and Ron won with that sheep. So, and he did a lot of winning with that sheep. She was a proper mule type, really. He's been a good man, Ron, with the mules. He knows what he's on about, and I think Fran knows a bit and all. So, right. So you've got to keep them straight. And as I say, if they happen to get warm or too hot, they'll twist off a bit. But if they've been kept till they're properly dry, they hold the shape better than a one that's like that one that's come off that tub just recently. Like if you made that into a stick and you heated them up, it might take a bit of keeping in shape till it dries out. So I'll let them dry in there for a 12 months and then I'll have a go at them. Aye, been always filing away. I can still see my old mate Walter Renick filing away like this. He was 80-year-old when he was making sticks. What a good mentor he was. I think he learned, my wife says I'm not patient, but I learned a bit of patience off him, I think. You've got to keep filing away. You've got to be frightened to take a bit off. It's like, I know you've got to be careful. If you take too much off, you can't put it back. But you can play about and play about with a stick and get anywhere. So I just keep filing away where I think till I get it to where I want to be. There's, like as I say, I'm a commercial stick maker. I'm not a man that's making a lot of show sticks out. I've made one or two that might have shown, but sometimes you get this white pithy stuff showing through, you know. If you're showing sticks, I don't like to see that there. Like the wick, white stuff in the horn, in the centre. And that's a fault in the horn? Well, a lot of these good stick makers, they can nip them up, see, they can get away, and it's not shown when they get it filed down, but you see that's going to have a white streak down there. It's not maybe just quite as hard as stuff as the horn, but commercial stick and a mart stick, you know, they're all right there. If they're satisfied with them, I'm satisfied with them. Right.
Another of Viv's hidden talents is his ability to make clipping stands for doing up mule gimmers. I asked him to give us a bit of a demo.
Stay there, get up the bike. Put your lamb on, head over, work away like that, and then down the neck, as Gordon Rowstone says, straight down the front. That's why that marks is on there, because I lift its head straight down the front and then taper both sides, back of the head, cheeks, and then off she goes. Folk puts the lambs on to wash the faces, because they just sit there. You just put some around the neck, wash the faces. You're not holding them in. It's probably what they're used for. How many? The most I've done in a day is 220 summit. That was at Richard Harkins, but Richard keeps fetching them in. If I do 100 in a day, I'm quite happy. 100 and some a day, quite happy to do 100 a day. So, alright, and there's for clipping time again.
And your long-suffering wife, how does she fit in?
My long-suffering wife, she's always wondering when I'm coming home, as I'm always late. But no, she's a good wife, and she's always there to help us if I need help. There's all kinds of bits turns up when you're filing and all. Sometimes a bit hole pops up or something like that there. you have it to fill in with a bit of horn glue, a bit of horn in, or just use glue itself. Aldehyde glue I generally use. In fact, this one, it had a crack in here, so I filled it up with aldehyde glue, and it's going to be it'll file down and it'll match in fairly well there. You've got to be careful, as I say, you don't take too much off, lest you're left with nothing. It's like putting a dog on the stick. When you start to put your dog on, lying on the top, the first thing you've got to put on is its ears, because if you file it down, you've got nothing left to put your ears on. The furthest, you've got to work from the outside in. It's a bit like drawing or something, is it? You've got to work inside out or outside in, depends which way you're looking at it. I like, as I say, I've got metal, I've got wood, and I quite like making things, you know. I try, if I can, I try to make it. I only buy it if I can't make it, really. As far as I'm concerned, the mule is the best sheep for breeding fat lambs. You get more lambs, they look after them, and they last. And they're easy to handle. You get a lot of these other sheep, they're not as easy to handle as the mules. No, I'm just as pleased I'm doing what I do. I've been maybe the happiest now this last few years and things I've been. As I say, I don't miss the farming, what we used to do when I was at the farm. We sold a lot of good stock, we won a lot of prizes, but since I left, I can't say that I've missed it really, because I go to farms that has stock every bit as good, and I help them with them, and I'm quite happy. They keep good stock, and it's a pleasure to work with it. And it's a pleasure to have a good dog and to go and help gather sheep for folk. It's different for you. No, I've really enjoyed things, and I still do. I know it's not as good in the winter for us, because I can't stand the cold like I used to. But the spring will be here before long, and we'll get to start catching moles come January. There's one or two shouting now, so, and they are working a lot now. I see that they're working hard now again.